Hello, it's Doris with Aldi Books, and I am going to do a video today on something that I think about often when watching other booktubers. What authors have you read, let's say 3 or more of their works? And I'm not talking about trilogies and books in a series. Obviously we would all say Harry Potter, but what authors have you read? They're so good that you just read all their books. So I thought if I'm interested in that in other people, then other people might be interested in what I would say. And I think that who you read says a lot about who you are. So this is who I am. Steinbeck. We go back a long way, me and John. I wrote a book report on John Steinbeck in 7th grade. Go figure. So I read lots of his work. I remember reading The Moon is Down over and over again. The Grapes of Wrath I read a little later on. I think at that age I was intimidated by the size of this one. But The Grapes of Wrath is on my all-time favorites list. This is set in the Great Depression, and it deals with the Okies from Oklahoma immigrating, like losing their land, losing their farms, and heading to California in search of a better life. And what I really appreciate about John Steinbeck, I appreciate many things. His characterizations are brilliant. His atmospheric writing and being able to describe the countryside and the culture is amazing. But I love his social consciousness, and he writes about a time period that I'm just mesmerized by. So The Grapes of Wrath is brilliant. And Cannery Row is the other one that is on my all-time favorite list. This was written in 1945, and I assume that it is close to that time period that the setting. And that's another thing I like about John Steinbeck. I don't really necessarily like contemporary fiction, but John Steinbeck's writing was more or less contemporary to the time he wrote it in. Most of his works were contemporary fiction for him. This is just, these characters are just, they're such characters. I enjoy reading them every time. I've read this multiple times. It's a short little thing, but most of them are semi-homeless men, and it's set in Monterey, California on the coast, and the kingpin of this group he actually does have a home. He's quite a bit better off, but he collects specimens for a bio kind of pharmaceutical company, biologic specimens from the ocean. So you get a lot of marine life in then these guys and their shenanigans, and it's just a delightful read. Delightful. And then the other one I'm going to talk about is Travels with Charlie, which I read just recently, a couple months ago. And this one I believe is set in the mid-60s, so again, it's contemporary to the Civil Rights Movement, and it's not on the Civil Rights Movement. It's just he travels from his home on the East Coast and makes a big loop around the United States and talks about the changing times, you know, interstate systems and gas stations along the interstate, all sorts of things. And it's just very fascinating to read it and know that he was writing it as it was happening and his thoughts on changing America. And I have not read East of Eden, but in the next 3 months I'm gonna do it, and I have no doubt that that's gonna hit my all-time favorite list too. So an author that 2 of his books are already on my all-time favorites list, and another one is heading that way, I'm sure. He's a stunner. Yep. So the next one I'm going to talk about is Amy Tan. Amy Tan is on my goals for 2017 to read all of her works, and I just have one fiction book left, which is Saving Fish from Dying. And then there is a nonfiction memoir that I think I'm going to go ahead and get, as well. So, yeah, Amy Tan, I discovered her, I guess, in college maybe, and I have been in love with Asian fiction ever since. Her writing is just so gorgeously atmospheric. I love her characterizations as well. But she always writes, her stories are set in contemporary America, usually out west on the West Coast, San Francisco. But they're told, majority of them are told through flashbacks to a historical time period. So they're really historical fiction, even though they're set in contemporary times. So 100 Secret Senses is, this one is just so, her books are also usually, the contemporary portion is a family dynamic, either mother-daughter or sisters, things like that. So 100 Secret Senses is two sisters. So the one sister was born in China and the other sister was born in the States and is a half-sister. So Manchu China is the flashback, and the younger sister is, she's very much judgmental and embarrassed by her older sister. Her sister's got a very significant accent from learning English as a second language. But the other sister is so, she's got a positive attitude and is so wise. And through the flashbacks in the stories, the younger sister comes to understand what her older sister's life was like. And it's just beautiful. Really beautiful. My favorite Amy Tan is The Bonesetter's Daughter. I just remember being so mesmerized by this story. And I need to read it again because I don't remember all the details. And I feel excited to read it again. And so, you know, it's a great book when you're excited to reread it. I think I'm going to try to reread this one maybe next year. But it's set in, part of the flashbacks are like really far back ancient China with the discovery of the Peking man's fossils, and there's myths around them with dragon bones and herbal remedies and things. So really, this is my favorite of them, but I need to reread it because I can't tell you enough about it. And the other one I don't own at the moment, but the Joy Luck Club is a fabulous read. It's two friends and their mothers, and it so beautifully portrays the competition between the mothers' friendships and how they use their daughters to one-up each other, and then you find out why their lives, you know, why they are the way they are is usually because of their past history. And the Joy Luck Club is set, the historical fiction portion is set in World War II and prior to, so it's that time period. Another fabulous read. And if you've seen the movie, the book is so great that you should read it, definitely. And my third 3+ author is Ruta Sepetys. She is a young adult author. This is her most famous work currently, Salt to the Sea, which is being made into a major motion picture. It is set in World War II, 1945, and the people fleeing Russian invasion, boarding the Willem Gustaf, and this is the most major maritime disaster ever. And that is Ruta's specialization. She writes about obscure moments in history, and so effectively. I had the great good fortune to sit at the dinner table with her last fall, and she's an amazing woman and so down to earth and lovely, just lovely to talk to. And you know, it comes up, why are you writing young adult? You know, she's capable of writing just brilliant adult literary fiction, and she chooses to write young adult fiction because she wants to hit that audience. young adult fiction is amazing. If you have an amazing author that's dedicating themselves to it, it's a fabulous genre. Ruta Sepetys is a must read, definitely. She's got a book. Her next one is coming out. I don't know when, but it's based in 1950s Madrid, Spain. So yeah, that'll be a pre-order for me. Her first novel was Out of the Easy, and this one, I believe it's set in the 1940s, New Orleans, and the girl was raised in a brothel. So, very interesting read. And then this one, I think, is the one closest to Ruta's heart. This one, Between Shades of Grey, is set in, I believe, Siberia, and it's the Lithuanians. This is about her family and their plight, and just basically a whole swath of people being lost in Siberia over time from the war crimes. So this one also is a movie, like more of an indie film. I don't know if it's out yet, but so 3 great authors that you need to read: Ruta Sepetys, Amy Tan, and John Steinbeck. And I would love to see who you have devoted your time to more than once. So what authors have you read 3 or more of their books? Link me below and let me know that you've made a video so that I can watch it. And I am going to link some of my favorite booktubers below. Maybe they'll want to do this because I would love to hear who they've focused on. And also, I had someone comment and ask me who my favorite booktubers are, so I thought this would be a great way to answer that question. So check below for a long list of my favorite booktubers, and feel free, I would love to hear your thoughts on your favorite authors, and link me somehow so that I can watch your video. Thanks for watching, and I will be back soon. Bye!